Hi, let me welcome you again to this web analytics series. And so far, we have created our bronze table the last time. And this is the code that we use in creating the bronze table. Then one thing I love to do is always to save my last query like this. So let me call this bronze. Then we can click OK. Then we will see that bronze here. And the main reason is because so that when I want to automate the process, it will be easier for me to automate this particular query. Then it will download the data. As I've said the other time, you don't need to actually search your bronze. Don't do any manipulation on your bronze. Don't do any data cleaning on your bronze because that is the structure, the schema that was downloaded from the source that you have sourced it from. And when you automate the process, it will come directly like that into it as data as it is, as raw as it is. That one becomes your single source of truth. So from there, we are going to build our silver table. But for us to be able to build our silver table, there's a need for us to understand what are we actually doing with this analysis, because that question is also important when you are crafting out what columns to clean, what do we need it for, why do we need it, so that when you get to the last end, that is the looker, when you are visualizing it, you will be sure that you are picking the right columns from the right data set. So, and our silver will be divided into two. I will do the first one in this particular episode. Then the next episode, I will complete it. And the one I will do in this particular episode is the silver event table, which is very, very important. Then the next episode, I will do the silver purchase table, which actually contains the revenue. It contains the item purchased, quantity, maybe brand, if we have brand in this particular column. So the next thing for us to do is now to inspect each of this column to be sure of what we really needed. Do we really need it? Are we, what the purpose are they serving? So this is our event date, which is the normal event date that we will actually need. So we can just run it to see how it is structured. So this is how the event name is actually structured. I deliberately limit it to 1000 so that our query can be faster. We might not need the event timestamp because it just had time to this, and for this particular analysis, trust me, it is not useful. So event name is very, very critical, and then we will need that particular event name. So you can just run it, and then you will see page view, users engagement, all these ones will be useful for us. Another one is this parameter, event parameter. Is like a nested column that is nested inside these parameters, and we have various things that will be useful for us along the line when we are really, really doing this particular analysis. And let me just try and see if we can do something. We need the key values per se for this. So let's run this. But for me, most of the times, I always would love to do it in terms of distinct because it tells me what, in summary, what is about in that particular column. So we see session engage, G-cleared, outbound, then titles, paid titles, then on and on like this. We have the GA, the title, and all. So those are the things that we have for this particular one. We can still go through the values because this actually shows how the data in the key is actually structured. String value, integer value, float, double value. So let's take it a bit. Let's go on. Let me remove this just to show other ones as well. We have the value in USD, which is also very, very important. That is the value of transactions that were made, which is also important. Okay. Then again, let's check the event bundle. Do we really need the events bundle? Let's run it and let's see if it will be useful. But for me, the event bundle might not be very, very necessary or useful for this analysis we are going to do. So we might need to neglect that. This is just the first stage. We are trying to inspect your data set just to be sure of what they contain. So user ID is something we are not going to relate with. Then what about the pseudo ID? Because the pseudo ID will be like our unique identifier for each of the events that actually happened on this website, the sessions. So, and also first touch might not be, is not useful. Users property is not useful. Users ITTV might not be useful because we still have the e-commerce platform that we are actually working with. Then the device is not useful. The geographical location is so important because we want to know the continents, the region, the city, and the metro. Well, for me, I would say the continent, the country, region, or the city will be the one we are going to use. Then the traffic source is something that we need to inspect because remember that this is a Google data set. So let's see if there is something very, very significant from the traffic that we can actually bring to bear or bring to place. So we only have Google shop.google. So we don't really have much to do for this traffic source, and I might not actually need to do this. But for example, in your own data set or in your own website, traffic source will be so important for you because you want to know where people are coming from, what are they doing on the website, what is bringing them into the website based on maybe some of the advert that you have run. You run it on Instagram, you run it on TikTok, you run it on LinkedIn, you run it on Google My Business and all. So you want to really say what they are actually bringing, how they are driving engagement on your website. But for this particular series, this one might not be that useful for this. And then also we have event dimensions. I might not really need this in terms of host name. Then the e-commerce is very, very important that I will later deal with in the second aspect of the episode. So, and the item. So this and this actually will be combined together in the next episode. So, but for this episode, I want to create the event table, and it's very critical for me to show how this can be done. So, let's get started. So let me try and select those ones that are important. That is the date. The event date is also important to me. So, but I will not limit this by 1000 any longer. So event date, then also the event name is quite important as well. So the event name is quite important. I'll give this a comma, then a comma because it's not actually ending there. Then because the user ID is empty or no, I might not need it. So I will use the pseudo ID. Then for me, I will call this, because I love to label it just for identification purpose, I will call this dates and something around identity. This will not actually happen in our query. It will not show in our query, just for me to name it. So let me run this and let's see what this will actually give us. So yes, this is actually giving us something interesting. So before we go on, there is a need for us now to correct this date because it's not actually showing in the right date format. So there's a need for me to parse PARSA. There's a need for me to parse the dates. Then open the brackets. It will tell you that what format are you passing the date with. Then I'm passing the date in percent year, percent month, then %day. So this will be, then I will close it, comma, then that should give me my event dates, because that is really what I am doing. Okay, sorry. Because that is what I'm doing. That's the event date. So let me run this again and let me see what the outcome will be. So we have our event date in the proper data format. So the next thing is now for me to bring in the GA4 session ID, because that is like an identifier as well for this particular series. So because it's inside the parameters and it is inside the integer value, so what will I do is that I will open a bracket and call it select. What am I selecting? I'm selecting this. But this is the way I really wanted to do it. I don't want to, I'm only selecting this. Then it will ask me that from event param, that's event params, that's event parameters. Then because I am actually unnesting this, then I can open the bracket and close it and write unnest. That is NEST. I'm unnesting this particular with this. So it will ask me I will need to answer another question where, because as I've said, there are many things inside this particular event parameter. So where my key, this particular key that I showed you the other time, is equal to, where my key is equal to G session ID. So where my key is this session ID, then there is a need for me now to close this particular bracket. There is a need to close this. Okay, sorry. This should come here. This should come here because everything is still under this particular stuff. So then we can run this particular query. Don't forget, we're actually building a process and we are building our saver table from here. So, yes, this has come here. So there is a name for me now to name it as, I can call it GA session ID. Then I will run it again. So I have my query already. So now the next thing is now to bring in the likes of the page location. Don't forget, we are still under this. So let's put this as a comma. The page location. So I can copy this as well. Then I can paste this. Then I can call this my page location. Then, but in this time, it is a string value, not an integer. I know you know the difference between a string and an integer value. So where my GA session, so this will not be a GA session, it will be page location. To be a page location, then as page location. So we can also run this and see if the value will return something to us. So this actually returns a null, and the main reason why it returns a null is that this should be L and this should be P. It should be a small letter, and let's see if we are going to have the right thing. So let's go. So yes, we have our page location. Then there's a need for us to bring in the title, the page title, because it's very, very crucial for this particular analysis. Then page title. Then let's write this as title. Then let's run this as well. So our title is actually showing, but sorry, it should show here as title, not as GA4. So that will be corrected. So let's also do the same thing for our, we've actually bring in our GA4 ID, page location, page title. Then the next one will be engagement time. But don't forget that the engagement time, is in numbers. So this will be in integer here. So let's call this engagement time. So where this is engagement time sec, if I'm very, very correct with this, because we need to know the way this thing actually structure is. But actually, so this is not GA4, so this should be engagement time. So this is already in seconds. So like this one now, if you want to do a proper analysis, this 10,390, you need to convert it to minutes, millisecond. This is a millisecond already. You need to convert it to minutes, or you need to convert it to proper second. You will need to divide it later by 1,000. But let's still continue. Let's still take it higher. We've done our engagement time. We've done our title page. Then we are now left with engage session, and we can use this, and then engage session. So where this is engage session, don't forget that it should be in small letter. Then this can be engage session, engaged. So let's also run it, and let's see what we can see from this. But we know we are building the table from the scratch. So yes, the engage session is not, I think the word should be session engaged. But let's check this particular key so that we will not just be guessing what the name should be or what the name can be. Select distance. This then from. So let me copy my from because it's a long one. Let me copy my from here to here. So Okay, select the syntax error. So okay, select these things. Let's select this. Select the assessment parameters from so so let's do write it again. So just want to see so that we not just make the mistake. Engage session. Okay, so it is called session engage. So let's go back to our query and let us write this session engage. So it should be able to give us sessions that were really engaged. Yes, so we have 101010. So now the next thing is for us to bring in our country. So country. So that is very simple. It's just a click and drop. Just a click. We need the country, then click on a comma, then enter. I will need the city. So with that, I think I am okay with every other thing else. So, so what other things do I need to bring in into this? The date and identity, the GA session ID, the page locator, the page title, the engagement time, engage session, then the country. And we've already done our pseudo user, the date, the event name, the pseudo users, and then we are not interested in traffic because the traffic in this particular one might not give us so much information. So let us now make this to be a table, but we need to firstly create our data set from here. So let's create the data set from here because that is where this particular stuff will rest on. That's the server. So as I've said, your location is very important. My location here should be the US. Then create a data set. So this is a server. So I can now create or replace table, and then my location is testing, yes, testing analytics 1 2 3 dots. What's the next one? That will be dots. Silver now. Silver, then dots. What is the name of the data set I want to create now? I can call it silver events. Then as. So as, okay, this is still giving us an error. And then there's a need for us to close it. So, and to remove this comma. Then has this. So then we can now run this particular server table. Can run this particular server table, and let's see what it will do. So our server event table has been successfully created. It has been successfully created. So now this particular one has been created in this manner, and I want to keep it as short as possible in this particular episode, so that in the next episode we are now going to create a separate one because we are going to make it a 2 server table, one for event table and the other one for purchase, server purchase. And for the sake of understanding, And that is why we are doing this. So now, in as much as this is the table, this is the query I've used in running this particular one, as usual, I will save this query as my saver event. Then I will click on save. The reason why I'm saving is very, very important. Just as I said, for bronze, for the sake of automation. So if I just schedule the query, it will be able to run on its own and it will follow the sequence in which I have set it to be. So I will see you in the next video as we'll be doing the silver purchase. That one is very straightforward and direct. Then from that, we'll create our good table, then visualize and look at. I will see you in the next class.